UCSF Undergrad. It's time. Here's a look at some of the reasons why. We're all aware that we're in the midst of a climate crisis. Limiting CO2 is of utmost importance. And in 2013, UC committed to reaching carbon neutrality by 2025. In 2019, UC signed on with a ton of other universities from around the world to declare a climate emergency. And it underscored the need for a drastic societal shift to combat the growing threat of climate change. Napolitano said, "We have a moral responsibility to take swift action on climate change." Well, it's been 4 years and I'm not seeing any drastic societal shifts anywhere, not even within UC. This fall, my daughter will be a freshman at UC Santa Barbara. I've been thinking about how she will travel to and from UCSB, and then it made me wonder how anyone gets to the various campuses from San Francisco, or from across the Bay Area, or across California. These are the freshmen from across California traveling from their home counties to the UCs they attended, and this is what they look like altogether. There's also students from across the country and across the world. These lines are routes traveled by the actual freshmen of the class of 2022. I've calculated the time, money, and carbon associated with each of the ways to make these trips. It is considerable. And how is UC doing with their net zero goal? Well, there are just 18 months to flatten the blue bars, and it's not looking so good. And I don't think those yellow bars contain their actual Scope 3 emissions. You can't drive an EV to a UC campus from China, nor can you realistically ride a bike from New York City. Heck, it's pretty unrealistic to even do that from San Francisco to Santa Barbara. The students that arrive to the various campuses have a footprint associated with attendance, not just the commuters and staff and faculty driving. Where any school's students, their main reason for existing, come from and how they get to school matters. And speaking of those students, let's see how we're doing with Californians accessing a UC education. This is how the UC system acceptance rate has changed over time. The gray portion represents California resident students who applied and were shut out of the UC system. Back in the 90s, the acceptance rate for California freshmen was in the mid-80s, until 10 years ago when it dropped precipitously to just 59% in 2015. The numbers on the gray bars are San Francisco students who were shut out, 0 for whatever, on admission to the UC system. And in 2022, that was 1,100 San Francisco kids who had to hope something else panned out. And as much as that hurts, now imagine that on a statewide scale. It used to be that fewer than 10,000 kids statewide were shut out of UC, but now it's nearly 5 times that amount. It's so much tougher to have a shot. In fact, in 2022, UC rejected as many Californians as it admitted 20 years earlier. The average admitted GPA has been climbing every year, and the applicant pool has been keeping pace. What might have assured you a spot in 2015 is now simply average for the applicant pool. And then look at Berkeley and UCLA GPAs. Keep in mind, these are just the average GPAs for accepted students. The GPA that was average for UCLA and UC Berkeley 25 years ago is now the going rate for any UC. How much more cutthroat is it going to get? What does that do for student mental health? And now, how will this ever be equitable for all? We need more seats to keep the UC system accessible to more students and to keep California moving forward. So we've got UC's carbon neutral goals, plus the precarious state of our climate, and the high demand for UC seats, coupled with the elimination of affirmative action admissions. And at the same time, we have a city whose core has been gutted of its original use. And as well, you know. So why not take all of those beautiful old buildings and make lemonade? Isn't that what this city's history of reinvention and rebirth is all about? And LA is already doing it. When will we again have this chance to put a stake in the ground in San Francisco? If San Francisco survived fires and earthquakes, I'm sure it can find the blue and golden lining.
This state, we dominate in venture capital, innovation. We have the finest system of public higher education anywhere on planet Earth. We convey more talent than any place on the planet. This state
needs more seats in the University of California, and there's nothing more sustainable than repurposing the current built environment. There are office buildings just waiting to be converted to housing, and dormitory-style housing is the fastest and easiest conversion for those spaces. The pink buildings were identified by Gensler as working for condo and apartment-style housing, so educator and staff housing could be created as well. With an abundance of public and active transportation options, it has the potential to be the most sustainable campus in the system. It's time to create the campus California needs, and let's be honest, what many people think already exists. UCSF Undergraduate, downtown San Francisco campus. For so many reasons, it's time.